Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lost Planeswalker. You're here with me, Jesse, the Lost Planeswalker, and today I am building the Red Death Shipwrecker card from the Fallout Commander decks. This was a really interesting legendary creature that we received in the energy deck that I was a little confused on what to do with. You know, I found something to do with it, and I'm not necessarily sure if this is the best way to play this card, but it certainly seems like fun, and if I built this deck, I would definitely be looking forward to playing it. But let's read Red Death Shipwrecker, a blue and a red legendary creature crab mutant with alluring eyes. Tap to go target creature opponent controls, that player draws a card, and you add a red. That little fella is deadly in his own fashion, the Mariner. So right off the bat, he's not super big, which is okay because it's only 2 mana, but he's giving your opponents cards, which is a little bit worrying. Obviously, you know, we don't want that to happen because they're getting advantage that we're not, but in addition, you're just goading all of their creatures potentially, and that's the way I have this deck set up, and we'll kind of get into that. But it's a quite interesting commander, and, you know, watch the video. If there's a way you think you could improve this deck, please leave in the comments down below. But let's start out by looking at the untapping your commander section of these cards, or cards that have value from our commander activating. So the first 3 cards I want to talk about are Leyline Tyrant, Narset Parter of Veils, and Urn of Godfire. Leyline Tyrant is 2 red creature dragon with flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay an amount of red. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target. I can already tell you we can generate an insane amount of red mana, and we might be able to wipe out an opponent if we just pull that all up. So that might be a threat to not kill this creature, and it's quite good. You know, being able to keep all that mana that we generate on our or our opponent's turns and it not phasing out is quite cool. Narset Parter of Veils is a pretty obvious include in this deck. 1 blue legendary planeswalker Narset. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. So that's going to prevent on our opponent's turns, or, you know, if we're doing this on our turn a bunch, our commander from giving them additional cards. And then -2, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Red Death Shipwrecker and Narset Parter of Veils are best friends, and unfortunately, I don't think Narset's gonna last on the battlefield that long once your opponents see, you know, this combo happening, but it could turn the tide of a game, so it is very good. And then Urn of Godfire is a single generic mana artifact with 2 generic, add 1 mana of any color. And the reason this card's in this deck is we can use our commander, all that red mana we're going to be generating, to filter into blue. Obviously, we're going to be playing a ton of instants in this deck, and being able to, you know, cast them at instant speed with no mana up is going to leave our opponents, oh, we can swing in and do whatever we want now, except we can filter the mana, and we have, you know, as much blue as we need at that moment, you know, if we have it saved up. So it is an awesome card. There's other cards like it, not too many though. So, you know, you might want to include several copies of this kind of card if possible. So the other cards I want to look at from this untapping, you know, commander abilities is how we can take advantage of untapping our creatures and from making our opponents draw. So starting out, we have Fairy Mastermind, Pemlin's Aura, and Sting the Glintering Dagger. So Fairy Mastermind, great card. You know, it's above $10. It's very powerful, but it's notably good in this deck because if we use our commander and tap it down, we get to draw an additional card by making our opponents draw. So 1 in a blue, creature fairy rogue with flash and flying. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. Then for 3 blue, each player draws a card. We're going to be able to target our opponent, have them draw a card, and then we also get to draw a card. It seems very strong, and I very much like that this combo in this deck. I think it's going to be very powerful, and again, I think people are going to want to remove that Fairy Mastermind because it's going to give you a lot of advantage as well. Pemlin's Aura is kind of a staple card, but for a single blue, we can untap Enchanted Creature. We can enchant creature, gains flying until end of turn, or enchant creature can't be the target of spells or abilities this turn. Then for a generic, enchanted creature gets +1, -1, or -1, +1 until end of turn. Giving this hexproof, or I guess shroud in this case, I think, is pretty strong, keeping our commander from being removed, but notably, we can just pay a single blue to untap it, and Sting the Glintering Dagger, 2 generic, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. At the beginning of each combat, untap equipped creature. Equipped creature has first strike for as long as it's blocking or blocked by a goblin or orc. So notably, we're going to tap during each combat, making it so that we can goad even more creatures and just generate even more mana. So yeah, I mean, that's what this deck is built around. Being able to goad as many of your opponent's stuff or all of their stuff every turn, or just goad the biggest stuff and getting a ton of value out of it. So some other cards notably to include for the untapping and value in our commander is Aperto Alchemist, Aura of Dominion, Chakram Retriever, Fate Stitcher, Freed from the Real, Illusionist's Bracers, Lorenth the Healing House, Mage Right Stone, Spark Double, Thousand Year Elixir, and Vizier of Tumbling Sands. So this next section is going to talk about goading your stuff. You know, there's other effects that are going to help us have our opponents kill each other or gain value from those goaded creatures. But before I talk about that, I want to say real quickly, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. It helps me out a lot, and it just, helps me make more videos like this. Shows me what you like. So thank you so much. So let's look at some of those goad cards like I was talking about. And starting out, we have Bothersome Quasit, Marieve Insidious Singer, and Spectacular Showdown. Bothersome Quasit is a creature demon with menace. Goaded creatures your opponents control can't block. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, goad target creature an opponent control. Making it so those goaded creatures can't block is going to be powerful on two ends. One, it's going to make it so our opponents can swing through without fear of them being blocked. And two, it's going to leave them up to swing into our opponents at. A lot of players might just chump a creature that we goad in order to not have to attack an opponent, but this makes it so that's not possible, which is very good. Maeve Insidious Singer is 2 blue legendary creature Siren with 2 blue. Goad target creature. Whenever that creature attacks one of your opponents this turn, you draw a card. Again, not quite as powerful as our commander, but the additional card draw is very nice. So maybe if we have a lot of mana stored up, we can do this and just draw some cards. And then Spectacular Showdown is 1 and a red sorcery. Put a double strike counter on target creature, then goad each creature that had a double strike counter put on it this way. And we can overload it for 7 mana, replacing target with each. So we can put a double strike counter on each creature and goad them all. I recently played this and it is nuts. I basically almost won the game that turn alone by making my opponents just swing into each other, and it was incredible. So this is a card I would definitely put in any goad deck. But some of the other goad cards I think are good are Death Kiss, Disruptus Quorum, Fiendish Duo, Fur Crag, Cunning Investigator, Sly Instigator, Taunting Kobold, The Sound of Drums, and Vengeful Ancestor. So lastly is all the good stuff in the deck, and I kind of wanted to draw out some of the cards that I thought were going to be powerful from the good stuff that aren't just your general cards you would put in any deck. So starting out, we have Archmage Emeritus, Consecrated Sphinx, and Goblin Electromancer. Maybe not cards you wouldn't put in every deck, but they're good in this deck because whenever we cast a spell, we want to be able to draw more stuff to put into our hands to kind of compete with the advantage we're giving our opponents. So Archmage Emeritus is great for that. And who's going to help us there is Consecrated Sphinx for 4 blue creature Sphinx with flying. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you draw 2. So all those cards that we are going to be having our opponents draw is going to be 2 cards in our hand. Notably, this is a May ability because you might get to a point in the game where you're going to lose if you don't have cards in your library left. So Consecrated Sphinx is great there. And then Goblin Electromancer, instant and sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. This is going to make it so our spells are cheaper and we can generate less mana in order to counter or do whatever we need to do. So next is another set of 3 cool cards I think would be very cool to have from the good stuff category. And we have Prisoner's Dilemma, Shore Up, and Zorzoth Chaos Rider. So Prisoner's Dilemma is a brand new card, and I think it's very strong because each opponent secretly chooses Silence or Snitch. Then the choices are revealed. If each opponent chose Silence, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 4 damage to each of them. If each opponent chooses Snitch, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 8 damage to each of them. Otherwise, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 12 damage to each opponent who chose Silence. So basically, if one person chose Snitch over Silence, then all the Silence players are getting dealt 12 damage. If each opponent chose Silence, it's only 4, or Snitch, it's 8. So this is a very tricky card. I think it could be very good. Everybody has to secretly choose, so you can't communicate about that because it is a secret. And notably, it's just very fun. And I think, you're going to be generating a ton of mana, and this is one of those cards you want to play for all that mana. Shore Up is next. It's a single blue instant. Target creature you control gets +1/+1, gains hexproof until end of turn, and untap it. Again, we're going to untap our commander. It gains hexproof for protection, gets buffed, which isn't the biggest thing, but it's very cool. And then Zorzoth Chaos Rider, 2 in a red, legendary creature Devil. Whenever an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, you create a 1/1 red Devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever one or more devils you control attack one or more players, you and chosen player each draw a card, then discard a card at random. Notably, you could just keep those up for blockers. Maybe you don't want to accidentally discard one of your best cards. Just keep them up as blockers. You can generate 3 every turn. It seems pretty great. In addition, maybe if your opponent is low, you can just start pinging their face. Very, very cool card. But the other good stuff cards to include in this deck are Abrade, Etherize, An Offer You Can't Refuse, Arcane Denial, Arcane Signet, Blasphemous Act, Brain Freeze, Chaos Warp, Commander Sphere, Counterspell, Deflecting Spot, Descent into Avernus, Dramatic Reversal, Fierce Guardianship, Flusterstorm, Jessica's Will, Lightning Bolt, Lorien Revealed, Misleading Signpost, Muddle the Mixture, Mystical Tutor, Negate, Pognify, Prismari Command, Propaganda, Rapid Hybridization, Soul Ring, Swiftfoot Boots, and the One Ring. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this kind of gave you some insight on how this commander works, or maybe some cards to include in this deck. And I would love for you to leave in the comments down below, what you thought. Were my inclusions good? Was there a card that I didn't list that you think I should include? Please let me know. I love to see those comments. It just helps me out so much. So thank you for doing that. In addition, like this video, share it with a friend, and help subscribe to my channel. I'm growing. I just passed 2,000 subscribers. It's been amazing. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. So today's Scryfall card of the day is Gift of Strength. What greater testament can there be to Ronus's lessons? Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you later, Planeswalkers.